Over here. May want to turn up the volume a little bit. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Welcome to the Popular Astronomy Club March meeting here at Butterworth, and to welcome to any of you on Zoom who are tuning in right now. It's like we have 7 or 8 of us tuning in on Zoom. If you are online, ask you to please mute your connection so that we don't have any background noise during the meeting here. When we have the opportunity for interaction with the Zoom attendees, you may unmute your microphone and raise your question at that time. Okay. As you came in to Butterworth this evening, you may have noticed a little display in the lobby there, and I'll ask Ann to explain what that's all about.
Oh, some of us have been talking about it already, but how many of you have heard of Dave Helmers, our most famous Quad City astronaut? Now you have. Well, I did a Smorgasbord on him 6 years ago. And so this is a tripod from that, when at the 50th anniversary of the moon landing, the newspaper was doing a lot of coverage of different related articles, and they had a 2-page spread on Dave from DeWitt, and turns out he had logged 500 hours in space as a Marine, and then he finally decided that he was done with the Marines and he went into medicine. Then he taught in Texas at Bauer University. Then he went to Australia, and we saw on our TV last week, and a couple of you said you saw it too. He's back. He's come back to work for NASA and help them with medical things concerning space exploration of the future. So Dave is back to help NASA. While I got the floor, Frances told me that today is the anniversary of her brother, who was very active in this group. He got a new address and he went out. So she was cherishing all of us being together tonight as she thinks about her brother. Okay. And then I'd like to welcome 2 new members here. Would you like to stand up and tell us your name?
I'm Chris Renison, and I just was curious about it, so that's why I came tonight.
That's all right.
It's got it. This is all Lauren. I came with her because she didn't want to come along.
Well, I hope you find this interesting anyway. Glad to have you here as visitors. We have another visitor somewhere here. What is it on?
Yeah, another new
Oh,
one.
oh,
That was me, yeah, Ron Fritz. Yeah, I can't say I'm really interested in telescopes. I'm interested in electromagnetic radiation, and the sun, of course, emits a lot of that.
I think you'll enjoy some of our programs. We've had programs related to that topic in the past, and I'm sure we will again in the future. We welcome all of you here. I'll especially welcome you two on the anniversary of the Senate condition where we lost to Terry. And it's good to see Roy here again too, who hasn't been here for a few meetings. Roy's moving around again.
A little bit,
And
I'm just gonna tell Ann, no big deal. I'm just gonna tell Ann of that guy being a Marine, he was in space for 500 hours with it. It's because he don't have an Army guy leading him down.
Okay. Well, welcome here. I think it's time to move on to the agenda.
Yeah, buddy.
Okay, for tonight, we'll have a brief business meeting, and then we have some Smorgasbord talks planned after that. Then we'll review the upcoming events and do whatever member observations we have time for before we adjourn. So I move right on to the business meeting here. I just wanted to make a few comments. We are getting off to a really fast start actually this week, and it's in 1 month, actually 4 weeks from today, we have our very big event, and we have many things leading up to that where we will be providing programs to various local organizations, the libraries, schools, churches, other clubs, and that relating to the upcoming solar eclipse, which will be a partial eclipse here in the Quad Cities area. Roy's already done a couple of those this past week, has another one coming up actually tomorrow.
Yep.
Tomorrow, we also have a big one coming up at the John Deere Middle School, where several of us will be helping them with their big informational program relating to the upcoming eclipse and some solar observing, if the weather cooperates tomorrow. And it is predicted to be only partly cloudy, so I think we'll get some observing in tomorrow on that one. It's expected that even one of the local TV stations may cover that activity at John Deere Middle School. We're also working with the Boy Scout Observatory at Loud Thunder to help them upgrade and refurbish their observatory. So some of us will be out there. We got to unpack the PAC and get it ready for Saturday night coming up, which will be our first NIABE public observing night of the year. Again, the long range forecast says we should have a good observing night that time. We're doing some more programs to help locals get ready for the eclipse at the Moline Library and at the Rock Island Library. And then, of course, in 4 weeks, our big event, we will be live at the Moline Public Library for the entire time of the eclipse.
Could you say a word about glasses being available?
That's coming up in the meeting. Yes. Well, let's see. I can. We can go ahead and say something about that, because we have a lot of glasses. We bought some extras. We're hoping to have probably 400 to 500 available at Moline Library on that day of the eclipse. And we're allocating some to each of the programs that we have planned before that, so we can hand them out to the attendees at those programs. Several of the members have also allocated a few to give to their family, their friends, their neighbors and such. So if you need a few, we have quite a few available tonight. You want to take maybe 10, a dozen, or however many friends you have, you think might need eclipse glasses, you're welcome to. We just want to reserve those we need for our upcoming programs.
So it's April 8th, is that right?
April 8th is the eclipse day.
School day also, run?
It's Monday, yeah.
So I'm expecting a lot of people.
Many of the schools are doing some of the schools have contacted me, and I put them in touch with the Astronomical League for buying solar glasses for their students or whatever plans. Several, I don't know if all, but several that have mentioned it to me are planning to have the kids outside on that day if it's available, if the weather's good.
Davenport Library is also giving solar glasses too.
Yeah, I mean, there's been something at the Eastern Range,
Yeah.
something there too, like that. Okay,
Well, I called Hy-Vee today and talked to the managers and asked them to put the date on their display. They already have a display selling solar glasses, but they didn't have the date.
oh,
So I said I was calling from the popular restaurant.
well, there's been quite a bit of publicity on the date and everything, and all. It's good to see there's been a lot of publicity, including in the local newspapers and on some of the TV programs that people should be sure to use your solar eclipse glasses. Very dangerous to not use them. Never use any commercial sunglasses or anything, right? They're no good. I think hopefully that word will get out very well. Everybody will be able to observe it safely if the weather cooperators. Well,
No, we don't. Oh,
okay, well, I think we'll go ahead
we
and,
just had a contact from one of James' cousins up in Ames, Iowa. He said, well, I haven't written back to him, so it's just kind of use my regular sunglasses.
Thinking a lot of us in
And a
the
lot
South,
of
he's
us-
forests, I'm like, you think sunglasses?
Well, I
No,
eventually said, I'll get back to no.
we got it right on the night, yeah. Oh, get some glasses.
well, we'll be getting that out to any of the groups that we talk with.
Yeah.
This time for sure, and we already have a few times, so. Yeah, while we're on the topic, we might as well continue. Roy has available the Night Sky Network toolkit. If you wanted to say a little bit about what
I
that is.
don't really know what's in it. Well, we've been on the Night Sky Network for several years now, and they send out toolkits of astronomical things that we can use for events. And I know we've used the magnetic sun and talked about things. There's other ones about, I think, but there's about telescopes, little kits, about like that box right there. And to help us get the public involved in astronomy. The one they sent here is on the eclipse. And it's got some posters in there and some tactical maps, I guess it's for blind people, if they want to feel, and some verbiage on what an eclipse is going to be and things like that, so. And they got some solar viewers, 100 solar viewers in there, so I think you guys can look at it later on and decide what you want to do with some of that stuff. So,
Okay,
it pays to post on the Night Sky Network, because as soon as I contacted, I have been kind of lax during the COVID crisis. But now I'm back in and they said, good, we're gonna send you glasses, and they sent that kit. So, and I'll be reporting all the stuff we've done here then.
great.
So,
Thank you, Roy. Annie, you have a comment?
I just went to the eye doctor and, he was expecting a lot of college kids in this week, for eye checks, and it made me wish that I had found, some solar glasses, because he talked about the eclipse while I was there. So I would be still open to finding out what site I could give to him if he wanted to order, like any of your eye doctors, if they would like to order them and give them out to patients, like what site I would like,
People have asked me, and I've looked around a little bit, the Astronomical League website is the best place to get even small to medium quantities of glasses.
Yeah, however, they may be sold out at this point too.
yeah, that.
Quite a few items, you just won't get them at this point, so.
Couple days ago, they still have them.
Yeah, now it's very hard.
Yeah, their price is just a little bit cheaper than Amazon, but they do, Amazon doesn't list quantity discounts, but the AL does.
What you gotta watch is number one, the certified, and number two, what you're gonna pay for it. I know you want to pay for it, that's a different kind of thing, but at Hy-Vee, they were selling it for $5 a piece.
I know.
I think it's down to $2 now. Of course, what they probably get it for 38 cents.
Yeah. Well, we bought, we joined with the QCAF.
Yeah.
And the total quantity allowed us a cheap price too, so. And I think we'll have sufficient, as somebody said here a little while ago. It is on a weekday this time instead of a weekend, as the one was several years ago. So that may cut down a bit on the number of people. The bowling library told me, although we had 1,500 in there, probably expect more than 1,000 this year. So but we won't know until we see them all show up, and the weather's gonna be a great big factor too. So. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to our business meeting here. On to Secretary's report, which is actually the minutes. The minutes of the last 3 months meetings, the meetings we've had since our last business meeting, have been printed in the newsletter. So everybody should have had a chance to look at the minutes and review it. And there've been comments from the board members and those of us who looked at it and tried to find issues in it, but we usually have some pretty good minutes there from Paul. So I will entertain a motion to accept the minutes from the last 3 months as printed in the newsletter.
So moved.
So moved by Roy.
Second.
Second, here's some.
Megan.
I made it.
Megan.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those no, we have approved minutes. let's move on to the good financial stuff here, and I'll ask Mike to give a brief.
Okay, I'll just basically summarize, the first sheet up there is the balance sheet as of February 29. And, we, in our checking account, $12,130. In our money market account is $5,400. Then we have a couple other small accounts, but our total in-bank assets is $17,602. In addition to that, we have invested in five $5,000 treasury bills that are paying us about 5.2%, which will be a nice return. So that's $25,000 invested at 5%. So that should be good for the club. That's basically the balance sheet.
This is some of the detail that is available for anybody who might want to look
That's the
at.
last 3 months detail. Just showing, and what I've done here on this report is the comparison of the most previous 12 months with the rolling 12 months ahead of that, so we can see how we're doing year to year. Of course, the whole thing is really distorted with Terry's generous gift. That's changed our numbers considerably, but basically we're in good shape and looking forward to a prosperous year.
Thank you, Mike. Any questions or comments for the treasury? The vote to accept.
My motion.
By Dino. Second.
Yes, second.
Second, okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. We haven't accepted the treasurer's report, subject to audit, of course. Okay, we'll move on. Vice President, Dino has a few things to say about our equipment list.
Right, so today, actually, Al has a Dropbox on site. I placed the location for the Dropbox on our website. Go to the website, go to club documents, and you'll see a list for the club's equipment list for PAC members only, of course. And you may click on that link. It'll take you to the website and it'll show you the list of equipment that we have that club members may borrow. We're looking at possibly the first weekend in May, maybe a Sunday afternoon, and we can maybe set up a day where people would like to come in and sign up in advance, and then we'll be able to get the equipment to you on that day. So we'll see how well that goes, but if you want to take a look at the list out there, or the items out there, and I'll actually put a list of the actual items as well for you to view. That's it on that side. Now for the website too, we've had a $20 fee at the website that was submitted to our treasurer. That's been paid. We've added a few extra items from Stephen Saber. An extra item is going up for him, and a few other changes. And of course, we always have our newsletter out there. If you want to take a look at any of the newsletters we've had for the last 10 years, you can find them out there. Take a look. That's it.
Not only that, there is some club history out there too in a few files. You're interested in what happened a long time ago. So, yeah, I should mention too, I think some of the people who have donated the scopes that Dino is talking about that are available to members now. So really
Quite a few more than you
thank them for providing them to the club so we can make them available to anybody who's interested. It's a big thing that if you don't have a scope and are still interested, you don't need one. You can come to the club and use one of the club scopes. Move on, observatory director. We got some things going on this week.
Oh, yeah, now we gotta get the PAC ready. Hopefully the weather cooperates with that. The bad part about that is it's gotta be dry for at least, 24-hour period before we unwrap it. Because if I roll that tarp up wet, it will be all mold and no good. So it's gotta be dry before we can wrap it up. And then I store it in my storage unit. So we gotta get that up, get the telescope in, the batteries back in it. And then that should be good to go. The other observatory out of the Nordics is good to go. That one's all finally ready. So anybody who wants to use that, you need to contact one of us. And You know, if one of us, one of the, what they would call key holders has to be out there.
We're going to start on the new season. Hopefully we'll be able to get the PAC up to Miami. Even if the weather doesn't cooperate for getting the PAC ready, we will be able to bring scopes out to Miami.
Yes, still
Yeah,
can,
so the Miami public session is not dependent on the PAC. When I looked just earlier today, there is some rain predicted for the data, the revised data. We're going to try to
I know.
PAC ready. So we may have to wait another day. We'll see. It may even be a Saturday morning before the observing session when we work on that. Okay, that was our observing coordinator. Do you have anything additional to say here?
I don't know, I'll try to, organize observing sessions at the Fall Castle Observatory. If, somebody wants to have an observing session, let me know too. Sometimes, when I'm not available, we get somebody else to do it as well. I'll put out, suggestions for objects that we can look at for, both public and closed sessions. So, let me know, if you want to participate. Looks like we got a pretty good growing group here, so.
And spring is a great time to go out there and look at some of the messier objects.
And we've had some good, weather. I mean, except for January, it's been pretty good.
Thank you, Ed.
I've got a question.
Yeah, Bill.
I know where Al puts out those emails and you respond back. Is there any way of knowing who else is gonna be out there other than me asking you again? If you're gonna be by yourself?
Well, I'll let you know. I mean, the main rule we have is not to go out there by yourself.
Right.
Because it's not safe.
But if you get other responses, nobody else sees it, so I'm always sitting there wondering, okay, Al by himself. So like, I'll send you an email saying you have any other people know.
I don't know. I think we've had situations where you called one and nobody else is coming and you cancel it. Or that's easy to cancel if nobody's coming.
Usually somebody comes.
But
And,
yeah, quite often we won't know because it may only be a couple days ahead of time when we see the good weather predicted. That observing session is called for, and in some cases, I know I've done that to Al several times, that don't decide until that afternoon whether I can make it out to an observing session or not. So sometimes it'd be difficult to
So
say that ahead of time.
the reason I ask is because what city astronomers, you would send an email and everybody was responding, you see a list of who's gonna go. So you usually kind of know who's gonna be there that night.
I suppose I could, if I remember to do that, I could probably send out a list of who's going on that day.
We could just put in the initial thing, like if you're coming to reply all, then maybe a carpool or.
Yeah, there you go.
That's an awful big email.
Yeah,
I
No,
don't do that.
I mean, tell you're gonna send it out, but in there, if you said reply all, then when the guy answers,
No.
it would go. Okay,
No,
you
I-
send it out to every,
I sometimes copies out.
these go out to the membership. Yeah, I think sometimes even beyond the membership and the friends list, and that's a very large list that would be.
Ideally, you're right, that could be done.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's something that could be done like with Facebook, but, where you have something interactive. But, I know I really have a lot of challenges with Facebook, and I know most people don't use Facebook, so I don't think that's gonna work. Yeah,
It's just from you and then the others are down the next line, right?
yeah,
So if they just respond to Al. So you.
yeah, you can,
but
The
he was
reply-
one who wants to know who's going.
the reply is no problem. I always get a reply, but then,
Yeah.
I don't tell everybody who's going, so. I guess if you reply to me and tell me you want to go out, I'll take note of that, and then
Yeah.
that day, I could send an email out, blast out an email.
Could be earlier that day, you say, as of this time, we know so-and-so's gonna be at the.
No, they're usually
So
not that many.
they reply back to you, you just have one email that goes out, so
Yeah.
those guys reply.
There usually aren't that many. There's A lot of times there's 3 or 4, sometimes there's 6, sometimes there's more, but usually not.
Like this past time you went out, you had a guest.
Yeah, I brought a guest along.
I need to ask, where is this at?
It's south of Milan.
South
South of Mine,
Yeah,
on the member spot.
on our Ridgewood Road.
yeah, Ridgewood Road. You've probably, if you've ever driven down there, you've probably seen it. Yeah. But anyway, the first time you go out there, it's important to know the way and it's. Okay. So, and any other, I'll try to, Rolly, I'll try to reply back. So you can decide. Sometimes I'd rather draw it than Yankee too, it just depends.
Okay, thank you, Al. Move on, Alcor report. Roy, do you have anything?
Not a whole lot. The Economic League is changing their website, so I was contacted and I had to put some information about the club, club number and club contact and things like this. So they said they don't know when they're gonna get it completely updated. So it could be 10 years from now, or it could be a month. It's had some problems in the past. So hopefully they're trying to get it all together. I think they've had some lax moments there and some got by. So now they're redoing to make sure everybody that it's in the Astronomical League is accounted for. Also, we have received notice that they're going to raise the dues rates. We pay $10 the Alcor for our club, and then it's $5 a piece for each member. We're going to raise that $5 up to $6. So the way I do it, I do it by line item. So if it's a family group, it's just one line item, that's only $6. So it's going to change by $1. I don't think it's going to affect us.
I've got that here. We talked about that in the board yesterday and
Yeah.
decided that it's an insignificant change compared to what we're spending for other facilities and that.
Yeah. So then you got
Hold
NACLA.
our local membership dues without increasing it that $1.
And then you got NACLA up there. That's, of course, that convention's coming up in May, I believe.
Yeah, I have a slide later that has the dates.
Again, and Al was talking about they have revised the bylaws, so we'll be talking about those and maybe you want to mention more about that. Either way.
Yeah, I mean, as far as bylaws, the North Central Region, I don't know if everybody knows what the North Central Region, does everybody know what the Astronomical League is? You know? Well, you can explain it.
Well, this club was a founding member of the Astronomical League.
Yeah,
So,
and that was 1947 when the Astronomical League, it's kind of a union of clubs around the nation, and it's spread worldwide now. There's like 23,000, 24,000 members in it now. And we're part of the North Central Region, which is the 7 states around us here, so it's a big area. And the Astronomical League has revised their constitutional bylaws, and now we've done the same thing for our region to get in line with the requirements. And it's not a big deal. I doubt there's going to be any discussion about it. Oh, I hope not.
they just put these rubber stamps and go on.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping happens. So that's the only, as far as I know, that's the only important business thing we need to.
Yeah.
So for our new members, visitors, there's a spring, convention weekend every year at a different part in the 7 states. And I happen to be wearing a shirt from the year we did it. And, this year it's in Green Bay.
Yeah. So it's typically, well, typically what, it's a day and a half. I think typically ours was longer. I think ours was.
Yeah. We have the best.
We had the best conference ever. It was 2 days of programs over 3 days, basically. And, but you know, typically we have a lot of speakers come in, people talk about astronomy, telescopes, you name it, anything astrophysics.
I know it was best because last time we went last year, we gave out notebooks and ink pens, and I saw several like last year one. They still are using that notebook.
Yeah.
I'm still using mine. I think it was a good, I kept it for them.
Well, yeah, that's something to consider. I've got the dates in that on.
Yeah.
Okay, coming up in a few minutes. The board met yesterday and the major action we took was relating to the library scope that we received at the last year AL convention. Rusty has done some work here to improve it. We've had one out before, actually, to Eldridge. It had some problems and broken pieces. Rusty's actually improved the design and provided the upgrade for this one that we have now received. At our meeting yesterday, they did the upgrade. Dino and Rusty were working on it. We got it all ready, and I'm ready to hand it over to Roy tonight because it is going to the Orion Library.
He's the president, so we'll get.
Of the library board, yeah, and our librarian is really excited. I mean, I told her there was a chance, but I didn't know where it was gonna go.
There has been interest from some of the other libraries too about such a program as this. We decided since Orion was pretty much there, almost in-house and ready to use such a thing. We allocated it to them for this one, and we're looking at the possibility, probably the next board meeting in 3 months. We'll look at what we can do for some of the other libraries. It may be that we could finance one or they would contribute part of it, but that would be a possibility to get out to at least 2 or 3 more libraries that expressed an interest in that. Al, have a comment?
Just one comment, this, and maybe you mentioned it, and I'm sorry if I'm repeating, but this telescope was actually won in a lottery. The clubs in our in the Astronomical League apply for it, and we happened to get selected, so we got this one for free from the Astronomical League. They have a grant program that issues, what is it, I think 11 library telescopes for free to applicants that apply for it. And so that's one of the benefits, from the Astronomical League.
And this isn't just for the library itself to use, people can check it out.
Right.
Yes, I will. The library do with it, just like a book.
Yeah.
So the one that Eldridge has, they want another one because the one that they have is always out. Somebody's got to check it
There's a
out.
waiting list.
It is, they said it is so popular that they want a second one.
Awesome.
Or they
You
need
just gotta
a
get the word out so people know.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Well,
hard
we
to
were
do.
down-
I really keep told they keep borrowing.
Yeah, I mean, it is hard. We don't have a paper anymore.
But that would work out better if there's more people that want to borrow. It sure would be nice if they had
Absolutely.
another one.
Oh, well, yeah.
When we were at Muscatine for the alpaca thing,
Yes.
I was talking to a Muscatine librarian there and I told her about the Eldridge Library having one. And she actually knew somebody in that system. She says, oh, we would love to do that. I said, well, talk to the lady in Eldridge. I said, and I actually remember her name of that day, but I can't remember her name now, that was in charge.
I
And she was
think
gonna try to get in touch with them.
they may have talked with one of our members of, no, because I think you mentioned it being one with the Muscatine Library.
Oh, she was very excited about it.
They're one of those that I mentioned.
Yeah,
Had a thing to share.
yeah, they were very excited.
Yes, that would be good. We could probably find homes for several of these.
Jan's gonna talk to the librarian, since she's the director or whatever you call it, and to set up something, maybe Al or Dale could come out and we'll gonna do a formal presentation for the library.
Well, the board meets the fourth Monday night, so we were thinking maybe that would be a good time if we came to a board meeting.
Yeah, to get that to us.
Yeah,
See who might be able to
Yeah.
be available at that time. Okay, I think we've got that ready, and Roy, I'll get that to you so you can take it home tonight.
she'll have to carry it.
Yeah.
We'll
I'll be glad.
get it to you one way or another. I thought that's what that little phrase.
No, it's duct tape.
Little carrying case.
Yeah, I have it in my back.
Okay, our main feature tonight is the Smorgasbord talks, and Dino coordinates that, and he had given me some files that we have on here, and I think we're ready to start using them.
Roberta, would you like to begin?
Yes.
That one right for about next. All right.
Could you take this and put it over there?
All I have to do is start your file, right? Oh, okay.
Here we go.
Okay, good. Would you like a chair?
I'm gonna sit there.
Let's grab that.
What is that?
I don't know.
Is this anything major?
No, so my husband just sort of been.
Yeah, just open
I
it.
don't know if this is that or not. All right, well, this evening we've got 4 people speaking. We have Roberta, we have Ann, Paul, and myself. And Roberta is going to start out. Roberta, what is your subject?
Black holes, the mystery of black holes.
Okay, that's good. Now, speak up a bit, please, and let's make sure that people can hear you. And go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me? I would like a volunteer. Who would like to pass out these? I got about 9 of them. Did you know that black holes are not a portal to another universe? They're not what? They're not a portal to another universe. The closest known black hole is 3,000 light years away. And the farthest distant black hole is 13 billion light years away. The most massive black hole observed is 66 billion times the sun's mass. The smallest is 3.8 times the sun's mass, and it's carried out with a star. And then there's spaghettification. It's a term that describes what happens when matter gets too close to a black hole. They squeeze horizontally and stretch vertically, resembling a U. All black holes spin. The latest known, named GRS 1915 plus 105, clocks in at more than 1,000 rotations per second. The monster black holes at the centers of galaxy can launch particles to near light speed. Gravity is the same. If you replace the sun with a black hole of the same mass, the solar system would get a lot colder, but the planets would stay in their orbits. One type of black hole is born when massive stars run out of fuel and explode in supernova. Most Milky Way sized galaxies have large sized black. Don't have lots of money. And anyway, we'll skip that comment. But I would like to let you know that I am in the habit of reading the newspaper every day. And it's amazing what wonderful articles there are in the newspaper. For instance, today is an article written by Al Scheiber. And yes, and you also helped with that. Yeah. And it's all about Betelgeuse, which is a very large star estimated to be 640 light years from Earth. It's part of the Orion constellation. But it's the first magnitude star, which means that it's very bright. But anyway, so I'm in the habit of checking out the newspaper every day. One day, in the cartoon section, it mentioned that at the next astronomy club banquet, we should serve Milky Way as dessert. But anyways, I wrote this article and the ones to look at, we did, about villages. The Al. So thank you for participating in writing these articles. Stuff what you can find in the paper. So that's like stirring and I'm speaking to it.
Thank you, Roberta.
You're welcome.
Ann, if you'd like to come on up.
Nice to have you back on the podium.
I guess we can pop through these a couple times. Just a minute. The acoustics aren't very good.
Are you gonna sit here?
Yeah.
Um,
I have a lot of picture ways. Okay, the one with a couple will be first.
Like, is this your first?
Yeah, it is.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, we've all heard the phrase, it's not rocket science tossed around. But just last fall, I realized, oh my goodness, I actually know 3 rocket scientists myself. I'm related to 2 of them and the 3rd is a really close friend. So tonight I wanted to just share that with you. My aunt, whose name is Crystal, married Norman Clear, Clear. So she's been crystal clear. For a lifetime, and she just turned 95. And I just talked to her on the phone again to prepare for this talk. She's very lively. Her husband became my dear Uncle Norm. I served at their Indiana wedding reception in the June of 1956. From there, they went to the Army work at White Sands Proving Ground, New Mexico. Google says White Sands began in 1945 as the birthplace of the American missile space activity. There, as a chemist, he worked daily, either on rocket fuel in the laboratory or testing it out on the very hot desert. He was a very delightful person to know, but I could no longer talk to him as he now and forever is up in the heavens. He labored to send rockets to. The next one is Walt, not that one, the guy with the glasses. That's not him. Yeah. Walt Hartenheimer from Kenosha, Wisconsin. I met him my freshman year in college. He was like a big brother, and he married my best friend, my college roommate, in 1965. It has been a lifetime friendship. We went to visit them when he taught chemistry at Clarkson University in New York. And again, we went to see them when they lived in Naperville, Illinois, where he worked for Amoco Research. And again, we went to see them when he got a job at DuPont's experimental chemistry building in Wilmington, Delaware. It was at Amoco in the early 90s that Walt and two fellow workers collaborated with Battelle Laboratory Research and the United States government to develop an experiment, which was launched to a modular component of what became the larger International Space Station in 1998. Walt and his wife were invited to Cape Kennedy to view the launch with the experiment on it. Mari remembers how huge that rocket was as they waited for 2 days for the weather to cooperate. Alas, they had to go home, where they heard about the successful launch 2 days after that. Meanwhile, Walt and his fellow co-workers monitored an identical experiment on Earth so that it could be compared to theirs in space. And that is where Walt now resides, by the way, in the heavens also. All right, the childhood pictures. Yep. That's me. And here's my cousin, Jimmy Brakefield. He is my age, and to help, I would ask him to help me with my high school math when we went to Aunt Edith and Uncle Johnny's Wisconsin farm on Sunday afternoons. It was almost 1960. Jim then got his doctorate degree at the University of Wisconsin and then got a job with Control Data in Minneapolis, where he worked on a project used for Apollo 9 and Apollo 10. Next was a 30-year career with Houston, Texas Instruments. He now lives in San Antonio. He did serve in the United States military. Television to be developed for spy satellites. So from 531 lines on a screen, Jim helped change it to 4,000 lines. Here's an excerpt from his Christmas letter to me this year. As I'd asked him I wanted to hear more about his time at NASA. My job was to automate a space shuttle experiment that determined if the astronauts needed rest, as they typically were overworked. It would run for 30 minutes, monitoring inhalation and exhalation air. The CO2 content of the exhaled air was the indicator for the astronaut that he needed to stop working and rest. Al Scheidler helped me on Saturday afternoon locate and print Jim's patent that he mentioned in his letter, but we couldn't interpret it enough to share it with you. Thanks so much, Al. Back to the letter. Jim says, I worked as an on-site subcontractor in the biomedical building in Houston. It had a large conference room for the media. It's the building where the astronaut treadmill is located. Astronauts were treated like kings, he says. Speaking of Christmas letter, here's what I bought for my husband for Christmas this year. It has official logos for Apollo missions, and 9 and 10 that Jim worked on are right here. There's a moon model that shows NASA landings on the moon, which when you plug it in, magically suspends in space. I will pass this around.
Where did you get that?
From Bradford Exchange.
Is this
And, yeah, you can pass that. And here's a magnifying glass that goes with it.
I don't know if, can anybody see this online there? This is the device, I guess the globe.
Yeah,
No, I can't see anything.
suspended in space.
Yeah, I don't know how we turn the camera on there, Dino.
Yeah.
We'll pass it around. When we figure that out, Jerry, we'll turn it on for you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, see here.
Okay.
All right, I'll show it to you. All right, so. Here's the
You're muted.
stand,
Holder.
Dino, I think you're muted.
moon model, which fits inside it. It's like so. Okay, does everyone see that? Sure.
Are you muted?
Are you seeing it?
We're all-
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, there.
Well, since I ordered this item, they've been sending me advertisements for all kinds of historical models of rockets. I mean, people could collect and collect and collect, so I get to see what they have now. So, now the rocket ship picture.
There we go.
Okay. So from Uncle Norm doing rocket fuel to my friend Walt sending an experiment up on a rocket to cousin Jimmy working for years directly on the US space effort, I feel so greatly blessed. And I also thank my husband for bringing me to the Popular Astronomy Club, where I can appreciate all this heritage even more.
Thank you, Ann. So, let's see, in a moment. Right. When you're ready. Okay, our next presentation is by Paul. Okay. Can we brief this person? I'm going to be in the southern hemisphere on April the 8th, so I'm going to miss the next eclipse. I'm jealous of you all for seeing it, but I saw the one back in 2017 Missouri's playing experience. So, next slide, please. There's the earliest recording eclipse. Now, these are a lot of words are hard to pronounce. It could be in Ireland at Levesque megalith monument. There's some stone carvings there that may talk about an eclipse that happened or may not, but they think they have some astronomical significance and may mark the equinoxes. They do know there is a place called Ugarit, I don't know how to pronounce it. In what's now Syria, where they found a stone tablet that talks about a solar eclipse in 1223 BC. And they know that's what it's referring to. It talks about how at noon, the new moon obscured the sun and Mars became visible. So that's the first known for sure recorded eclipse. Next slide. Oh, sorry.
Just a little bit, because I can't see back there.
Okay, can everybody see now?
Now you got started.
Oh, well. Now we go to the Babylonians, who discovered the Saros cycle, which they were really good at making meticulous records and observations. And they figured out that in every 223 lunar months, there's a time when an eclipse, either solar or lunar, could occur, which is quite a feat. And there are different cycles. The April 8th eclipse is going to be in Saros cycle 139. And it was, I think, quite a feat. I think we underestimate what these people, we call them prehistoric. Well, they didn't have telescopes, binoculars, computers. It was all bare eyes and chiseling on stone, and yet they figured this out, which is amazing in my opinion.
Next slide. Now we talk about Thales, a Greek philosopher, and I want to say too that back then philosopher wasn't just a guy who thought great thoughts. They were scientists, mathematicians. They were what we might call Renaissance men. And according to Herodotus, Thales predicted an eclipse that happened in 585 BC, and it occurred during a 6-year war between the Medes and the Lydians, and his successful prediction caused them to decide to stop fighting and negotiate peace. Now, again, did he really do it? We're not sure, but there are several accounts that say that he did. He was probably knowledgeable of the Saros cycle. That's not enough to predict it as well as he did. It went right here over Turkey. You see this cool map. So, those, man, these ancient people knew what they were talking about. Next slide. Now we come to the Bible. And if you read the story of the crucifixion in 3 books of the gospel, they talk about how darkness fell over the land as Jesus was crucified. And in the movie Barabbas, they actually filmed during a solar eclipse in Italy, which is quite a feat of movie making, depicting the crucifixion. So the Bible, according to Hollywood, says, yes, there was a solar eclipse during the crucifixion, but in reality, it probably wasn't, unless it was a miracle of some sort. For the reason that Passover is during a full moon, not a new moon. The eclipses don't go for 3 hours. There was an eclipse somewhere near Jerusalem at what might have been the time of the crucifixion, but that happened in November, so that's not Passover. And some people said he was talking about thick clouds or a volcanic explosion, or it may have just been an allegorical creation of the evangelists. We don't know. It's more a matter of faith than science, I suppose. But I thought that Barabbas thing is pretty cool. That guy took a lot of guts to do that. And now, moving on. Now it's Haley, or is it Haley or Hallie? How do you pronounce it?
Hallie.
Hallie. All right, we'll go with Hallie. Hallie, whatever his name was.
We say Haley, in Great Britain, they say Hallie.
Okay, but we'll say Hallie then. He's known for his comet, of course, and he predicted the return of the comet. He deduced that comets rotated around the sun. They weren't omens of evil or anything like that. It was naturally occurring phenomena. He said the same thing about eclipses. And in he created a map for an eclipse that went over England in 1715, which turned out to be pretty accurate. And it actually led to more eclipse map. Every time there was an eclipse coming up, people would start making maps. There was one that appeared in the Gentleman's Magazine in 1737 about an upcoming eclipse. Now you see eclipse maps everywhere, but Halley sort of started that. Next slide. There's our friend Albert Einstein. He said, "I told you so." The reason he said, "I told you so," was he said that light would be bent by gravity. And it was all a thought experiment. He didn't really have any evidence of that, but he said, this is what's going to happen. Well, in May 1919, there were astronomers who were stationed off the west coast of Africa in Brazil. They did some observations. Now, when the eclipse happens, the stars behind the sun become visible. And they figured that the position of the stars had changed because the light from the gravity of the sun had bent the light. And they proved that Einstein was correct. So that's what happened during that eclipse. Somebody's read up on it. It's pretty interesting. Next slide. Here's some future eclipses. This one's going to go over Spain in 2026. I may go to that one. There's one. This is the next one that's going to go across the United States. In 2044, there's an eclipse that's going to be visible in parts of the Dakotas and Montana, but it's not going to go all the way across. Well, this one is 2099. It's going to go over Chicago and just miss the Quad Cities area. And I believe the next total eclipse is going to go right over it. It's not till 2153. So if you're around that long, you get to see it. And it kind of comes back. That's pictures of my grandson. I just wanted to throw them in there because maybe he'll see some eclipses someday. Is he cute? Come on.
Yeah, right.
You're doing all.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at him. Yeah.
Well, the grandson will probably be old enough to see
Yes.
the one in 2090.
Yes, and it kind of blows my mind. I realize that he may be around in the 22nd century. He'd be like 78 years old. Like, what?
Crazy.
Hey, Paul, there's another nice eclipse in 2027.
Where's that?
That goes across Luxor in Egypt.
Yeah, I've heard about
It's gonna be
that.
about 6 minutes long.
That's pretty cool. If I go to Australia, I may go back. There's one in 2028 in Australia. They go
Yeah.
back for that. All right, last slide. The eclipses are awesome, but in about 600 million years, they won't happen anymore. Or maybe a billion, they don't know exactly, because the moon is moving away and the sun is getting larger very slowly. And when that happens, there won't be any more total eclipses, so enjoy them while you can, although you got another 600 million years or so to kill, so you should be okay. All right, that's it. All right. Yay. Thank you, Paul.
Contacted Eric, Runkle, whatever his name is, have gotten some stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah, I do. This meeting's over.
I think they do have it.
Yeah, so. All right. Well, we do have the eclipse coming up, and that's the one thing that everybody's looking at, trying to decide what we're going to do, and that it's just a little over a year ago, I actually made a hotel reservation for the eclipse coming up on April 8th in Waterloo, Illinois, because in 2017, the eclipse passed right overhead. You had a beautiful view of the eclipse that day, whereas in Carbondale, it had clouds, and they didn't see much of anything except for a few seconds right in the middle. And so I thought, let's go back to Waterloo and see if this will work. And so I decided to start taking a look around. Let me start my share right now. Okay. This one is one of the various eclipse maps that you can find out there that show the path of the eclipse coming through. Right now, the center line shows the maximum area of the eclipse, and the two outer lines to the left and right show you where the eclipse ends, the full eclipse. Beyond that, you'll see a partial eclipse. So up here in Quad Cities, we'll see about 90% of the eclipse. As you go further south, of course, then we head into the area we can see it. Now, I'm looking and I'm thinking, well, gee, Waterloo's right in this area. It's right on the let's find out. So I went to the next one. Here is another map showing Illinois. Okay, we're getting a little closer. I'm seeing some of the towns, but I'm not seeing Waterloo in here. So I went through a little bit further. Okay. Up here in the corner, that little red section is Waterloo. There's a little town called Redbud, Sparta, Pinckneyville. Then you drop down to Murfreesboro and then Carbondale. And Carbondale is pretty much where the center of the eclipse is going to be. Go back and I'll show you. Right there, Carbondale. They'll get 4 minutes and 8 seconds time, Carbondale. Right. Pinckneyville, we'll get about 3 minutes, 30 seconds or so. Chester, which is another little town here, right on the Mississippi River, we'll get it just under, just over 3 minutes, maybe 3 minutes, 10 seconds. But again, is my town in the area? No. So I drew a line. The line's not exactly accurate, but guess what? Waterloo is not here. We're about 5 miles outside it. So if I went there, I wouldn't see the eclipse. So I couldn't set up right outside the hotel we usually did in 2017 and watch it. I'd have to travel further in. So I started looking at the little towns, Redbud, Sparta, Pinckneyville, etc. And then I thought, well, gee, actually, I'm a member of the association in Carbondale, which is the AASI, Astronomical Association of Southern Illinois. But they are going to be very busy. They'll probably have 40,000 visitors in Carbondale that day. The highways coming down from Chicago, Highway 57, will be packed full. They'll be stopped as they did in 2017. You won't be able to get anywhere near it. You're going to have to get off on the side of the road to do it. And there, as I was told, farmers in the area said, if you want to see the eclipse, $50. If you want to stand in my cornfield and watch the eclipse. And then again, if you were to have a hotel room in Carbondale and got there in advance, back in 2017, it was $2,400 for 3 days. Now it's much higher. Okay. So I thought, all right, well, Waterloo's not bad. So I took a look around. And then I came up with this little town of Chester. There it is, city of Chester, Illinois. And it actually happens to be the hometown of Popeye the Sailor. The man who came up with Popeye, designed is from Chester, Illinois. Nice little town. And they actually do have eclipse activities going on in the city. This is from their website. This is well, twice in a lifetime is the thing here. You can actually get a T-shirt with Popeye on it. If you wish to. And I actually called the city and reached them this morning. And I talked to them, and they're very nice people. They said, oh yes, we can set you aside in the full park. If you want a 10 by 10 space, it would be $50 plus a $20 parking fee. I said, okay, that's fine. So we're going to set up a couple telescopes, maybe you have a few eclipse glasses. And she said, Mar? I said, yes. Well, tell you what, no fee. Why don't you just come on in and we'll just send this to you? You can come on in. If you're going to be showing this to the public, we're happy to do this. I said, great. So I told them who we were, where our club was, gave them our website, some other information. They're very happy. And so I need another 100 eclipse glasses, by the way. 100 I have already, now it's 70. So I need another 100, so I have at least 150.
Popeye was born in 1929, because that was the same year my Aunt Christabel Clear was born.
That's when the cartoon started.
I sent her a can of spinach.
There you go. All right, so and there's Cole Memorial Park, and you can see these are the normal parking rates to stay out here today if you want to do something. All right, so I thought, well, let's make sure we're actually in the dark. So I took a look here and I brought up Stellarium, which is a favorite program of all of us, of course. And I looked, and we're going to start here with Rock Island. And here we are on the 8th. And right about noon. And there's our sun. About 90% of the sun is blocked, so there's only 10% showing here in Rock Island. The next one, I pulled it up for Chester and Carbondale. They're pretty close, so I was able to get them within the right degrees. And it's going to be great to review things, because if I remember 2017, you can see Jupiter on one side and Saturn on the other during the eclipse. This time, we're going to see Jupiter up a bit on the left, and down to the right, we'll see Venus, Saturn, and Mars. You should also be able to see the Pleiades up there too. This is during the eclipse itself.
You might be able to see the comet.
You might be able to see the comet if you have time to look for it. But at 3 to 4 minutes, you're going to be awfully busy watching it, taking photographs and whatever you need to do. So no matter what, you need to pay attention to what you see as well, because otherwise you miss it. I've heard that from a few astronomers in the past. They say they go to eclipses all the time, but they never see them because they're too busy setting up their equipment. So they never take a minute to look up and see what it actually looks like. You really need to do that. This is what, of course, it looked like during the eclipse itself. In that area, we should be able to see the aurora on the sun, and then the planets around it also. And this again to show you what happened if I were to stay in Waterloo. There's the same date and time. Again, just like the Quad Cities, a little over 90% is blocked, but we can still not see the eclipse. So I couldn't stay there. So good thing we chose Chester. And that's it. That's all we're going to do for this evening. And thank you very much. That's it for our Smorgasbord presentation.
Thank you, Dino, the Smorgasbord presenters. Back to my screen here. It should come up. Let's move on then. Maybe we will move on. We moved outside. Here we go. Okay. We are moving on then, just review what's coming up. I already mentioned that Roy's doing some things. We've got a up at Riverside Church. We're doing John Deere Middle School, and then up comes our first IABI session. Bowling Library Project Next Generation. That's a series of talks we've been doing for them, and this one will be about the preparation for the eclipse, and we will be doing night observing after that program. A similar thing at Rock Island Watts Midtown Library. And then comes the big day, April 8th, the solar eclipse. It's also the day of our next meeting here, which obviously not during the eclipse, it'll be in the evening. The sun is not out anymore. We've added the Giant Goose Youth Day coming up June 1st. Eldridge annually does a Stars and S'mores program. That's on June 24th this year. One of our biggest programs is in the Island Campground. We've got that coming up at the end of June, or if it's raining that day, July 6th. Silvis Library has a big centennial celebration. They invited us to provide observing for that on July 11th, or if it rains on July 18th. And Riverdale Schools will be at another big observing session. I don't know just what day that is yet, but it's coming up in September. As soon as they get their September school schedule figured out. Okay, I mentioned we have other things coming up. Talked about a NACO, that's May 17th and 18th in DePere, Wisconsin, a suburb of Green Bay. So it should be an interesting place. There's lots of things to do in the area too if you want to spend another day or two there. June 7th through 9th, it's the Mid-States Region Astronomical League, and they have their big meeting at a state park near Omaha. On July 17th through 20th, it's the Alcon Convention in Overland Park, Kansas, which is a suburb of Kansas City. I looked at it today, astroleague.org. We find that they have obviously the date and the name of the hotel and all that. And they say more details to come soon. So don't have all the details about that one yet. Hopefully we will have that very soon. And you can always check on astroleague.org if you're interested in that. Okay. We do have a few minutes if anybody has member observations tonight. We probably need to have it completely wrapped up in about 15 minutes here. So I didn't see the list. Is Byron online tonight? Yes. Some, or Al, have you received any from anybody else?
Yeah, I have some here.
Okay. We can take about 15 minutes to go through whatever we might have.
Let me see if I can share this.
And a few other, while Al is setting up, we already talked about the eclipse glasses, and I think we have some questions you need. Some we have some available here tonight. Mike has also looked at our membership list, and there are a few of you. I get a chance to compare with how many of you here tonight have not renewed yet. Please get on top of that if you haven't renewed. We need to have that list to Roy as our Alcor representative here. Hopefully before June 1st, so we can turn in our membership. If you don't renew by then, you're not a member anymore. So, goes for I don't have the online list. There are quite a few who have not renewed yet. One other comment, and I'll still, touching the buttons there. It was mentioned earlier that we, from Steven Saber, we received the book, O'Meara's The Caldwell Objects. That was a very interesting book. I have that. It was donated to the club of Steven Saber, and it is a very interesting reference book of the Caldwell objects, which were a set of objects. In fact, it was
Turn on the TV now.
fellow Patrick Moore list, looking at the Messier object.
Kind of.
Somebody online, something, okay. If you're online, have opportunity for online comments in a little while here. Patrick Moore noted that the Messier objects, very interesting objects, but there are some that he thought should have been included as things that we should be looking at. And then realized, of course, Messier was kind of a negative list. He developed that list of things that could be mistaken for comets, because he was studying comets, and these were the things that if he saw those, that, well, no, that's not a comet, let's move on to something else. So this fellow, Patrick Moore, decided to make his own list, which includes many of the NGC and IC names that we see now and have regularly looked at. But the book is very interesting, has a lot of technical detail in it on all of these other objects, and it includes 109 more objects that would be very good references for us to look at sometime when we're out at the observatory.
I'm having technical trouble here. I cannot get it to share for some reason.
What's a meeting without technical?
Where's the test then? And then try sharing.
Try again. I think when I unshared mine, this actually.
I have a question about the show.
Okay.
I don't remember when I get the membership.
Get rid of that.
Is there
You can
a
see the
certain time of year that you usually do the
You can X out
renewals, that kind of
There we
thing?
go.
It's like, I'm
You got
pretty
it.
sure I'm up to date, I just don't know.
Yeah, I can tell you that. The membership cycle actually is,
Yeah.
October through the succeeding, September 3rd. Because it's, kind of based on our annual meeting, annual banquet time. So, the people that I said have not renewed yet, means that you have technically expired back on October 1st. And, need to get you back in business here.
Roland, is that document online? To see if we paid, I'm expired and I don't have to tell the back motion, right?
There are some other things that you don't get.
But is there?
We don't have any, online,
They just go after what you.
right now, you can call either Mike or me if I send out the list, but,
Or I can email you.
yeah.
Okay.
Actually, best to do would be to email to Mike.
Okay.
He has the master list, and when somebody renews, it goes on his list right away.
So.
Yeah, we've got the shares up.
Are you, sending a note to the people who have not renewed yet?
When I was treasurer, I did, shortly after the beginning of the new year, sent, email to everyone who had not renewed. Mike, I don't know if you.
Haven't yet.
Okay.
Okay, because I was just wondering, it's like, okay,
It's a good idea. You may, if you haven't renewed, you may be getting an email.
Okay, so, but that would be good, because some people might not know, you know, and I'm.
Yeah, I think it would be a good idea.
If
to
I'm
do.
on that list or not.
And I think we have our technical problem, fixed, and, Alan, go ahead and tell us what we're seeing here.
Well, these are, I don't know if Byron's online or not, but Byron always religiously sends me his photography, so I'm shamelessly plagiarizing all of his images here. This is IC 410, the Tadpole Nebula. So it looks like there's I don't know if you can see it, there's two tadpoles in there. Right there. So that's kind of neat. And this one here is the jellyfish. IC 443 jellyfish nebula and SH2-48. I'm not sure which is which. I guess that's probably the jellyfish down there. And that's the other one. So these are some there's that looks like a jellyfish kind of.
Yeah.
This one here is IC 2177. I think that has a common name too. What is that?
Looks like a bat.
The bat or Pelican Nebula or something?
That's a seagull.
Seagull.
Oh, there you go.
I see a lot of different things there, so I don't know.
Yeah, that's a seagull. We're looking at it, but we couldn't very good.
Okay.
To me, it looks like an eagle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Looks like, I agree with you, Frank. It looks like an anteater.
that's the one from today.
Oh, yeah, look at the other direction, that's what I need.
That's the one
Right
from
there,
today.
anteater snout.
Yeah.
That's a big tail they have.
Pull up the snout and show them the snout.
Yeah, that was from today.
A little closer in.
See, there's the ant right there.
See, there's a dark area right above the snout. You see the dark area?
Oh, yeah, right here.
Right, that's a cloud of dust which is blocking the light.
Interesting. And this, does anybody know what this is? Yeah, that's the Pleiades. That's really a nice image of the Pleiades. Subaru. Yeah, if anybody owns a Subaru car, you got that on your nameplate.
That's Japanese called.
Oh, blow that one up. That's.
Yeah, this is a planetary nebula, NGC 1514. What's the name? Is that
Iris.
Iris Nebula? There's a lot of detail there. So that's what our sun's gonna look like in a couple of billion years. 5 billion years. And here's another one. This is a cool one here too. This is the Eskimo Nebula, which is also a planetary nebula. It kind of looks like an Eskimo, doesn't it? Sort of. There's kind of a fur lined hood, and that's the Eskimo's face. I don't know. And this is really nice here. This is the Iris Nebula here, NGC 7023. The Iris Nebula is there, and then you've got all this dark material, dust and gas floating around it. I don't know any specifics about the object, but that's really a splendid picture of cream and chocolate. I don't know what all else. It looks like coffee in the morning. And I think that those are the ones I had from Byron.
Okay.
And I've got some others here too I want to show. If we got time, you're gonna have to stop.
Yeah, just a couple more minutes here.
Okay, so Dan Cusack took a picture of the comet. That was from Saturday night. That's pretty decent. That's a decent one. You can really see the tail. This is really, one of the nicer comets we've had recently.
You can see where the tail splits a bit too.
Yeah,
Two
there's some
parts.
fanning out this way and big portion going out that way. Wes Dan's comet. And okay, that was a really good comment. I'll show you my comment. Okay, here's my comment picture. And this one, I don't know, there's some defects in it. I like to put pictures out that have defects. What I tried to do is what I've tried to do here, this has got like 7 images that I tried to stack. And whenever I tried to stack, I would try to align stars to line up so that they would stack on top of each other, and that was great. But then the comet looked like it was stretched out. So then I stacked it differently so that I was staying centered on the comet. Now you see the stars are stretched out. So you can't have both. You can't have it both ways. At least the way I do it. I don't know how some of these other guys are doing it to where they're getting both to be clear, but that shows some really nice structure in the tail. Here was I think that was 2 weeks ago. We were at the observatory. In case anybody's wanting to see that, that's Eric Beck, right? And then I apologize for the clarity of the image, but this is Dan and Megan out there with me. And there was another comet picture. That's just one snapshot. It's really a nice object. You don't need a camera to see it. You can just look right in the eyepiece, and it's a beautiful object. It's really nice. Here's the Orion Nebula taken just with a telephoto lens from the camera. And this is one of the telescopes we're going to use hopefully tomorrow at the Dungeon Middle School. Let's see. And then,
The solar filter that we made?
yeah, that's homemade solar filter. We're not going to let students look through the telescope though, because the students, if they are messing around and goofing off, they could hurt themselves. So we're not going to, but we're going to use the cameras. So they'll be able to see it on the screen just like we have here. Actually, yeah, I should have one more picture. This is actually a picture from that telescope right there from my front yard. Here's the sun. This is with all their equipment. This was on the 26th of February. You can see we had a huge sunspot out there. That was really, really a nice sunspot. And there's a few over here. This is the Earth in comparison. Obviously, you'd never see the Earth like this with, close to the sun like that.
I wonder where you were with that picture.
But anyway, I put that in there for scale. I mean, if you want to see how big the sun is compared to the Earth, there you are. It's enormous. The Earth is very tiny.
The sun's considered a dwarf star.
Yeah, there's much bigger stars than that. Betelgeuse is much larger. And then I wanted to show this. Hopefully I won't get in trouble. This is Jim Dole's picture of the comet.
That's nice.
Jim, are you still on the call here? He was.
Okay, yeah.
He signed on. He must have signed off. But this is Jim Dole's picture of the comet. It's
Where is he?
unbelievable. He's from Freeport at the
Oh, there.
what's the name of the observatory? Well, it's Planetary Studies Foundation.
Yeah.
By
Uh,
Elizabeth, Illinois, by Elizabeth.
by Elizabeth, Illinois. They're new members in the astronomical league last year.
It's Fireball Observatory.
Fireball Observatory, yeah, Fireball Observatory. I've got pictures of that on the, if I had time, I'd pull it up and show you, but this is the most incredible picture of the comet I've seen. I don't think anybody's taken a better picture of that. There's hundreds of pictures out there. After I threw an email out to the region and said, hey, has anybody got any pictures? And of course, I threw mine out there with all the defects in them. I figured somebody would come up with something better. Well.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you, Al.
Yep.
Thanks, Al, nice picture.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Here, please. Okay, screen turns up. Okay. I already covered the announcement while Al was setting up there. And looked that we have available now. So that's going to pretty much conclude what we have. Again, need to mention, as Roberta already mentioned, we had the Skywatch article, today's newspaper too. They seem to be good at getting in. The last, this was the third month in a row when they had printed the article in the newspaper on the day of our meeting. That's gonna happen next month, because that will be the eclipse day.
Hopefully they'll do it before.
We have provided them an eclipse article, which would be very useful to have in the paper, maybe a week before the eclipse. We'll see what they do.
And I just sent it out like probably 10 days ago, so.
Yeah.
They put it in when they have room, I guess.
They used to be a big variable. Sometimes it would be almost a month later when they print it, time to get in within a few days. Just when they really have room. Whenever there's a slow news day, I guess, they print astronomy, so. There've been too many slow news days here. So, okay, I think that's going to be about all that we have for tonight. We ran out of current slides, so that's the old one. So all we have to do yet is say come back in another month. And some of the programs that we have during the month between now and April 8th. And until then, keep looking up.